It's done.
Well, there was a couple in that sad week, I felt bad about it, but.
Yeah.
You know. Both of them, have you gotten them?
No,
Okay, good.
they're in the mail though.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Both have been processed. Howard processed one, and then I told you the other one was my fault.
No,
My fault. But they both been done.
too much.
We just did left the one. The new one.
Which
And
one?
I'll let you know that they said, this is, I recorded it over. They rang over us. We went over there. I think it was the. Out of our. I was like, which one?
I know. Well, I saw the busted line and I sent it to you. I wasn't expecting y'all to get to it that night. And then you sent me like 10 minutes later and you're like, it's done. And I was
See if
like,
any extra
So
copies of
we,
the
there's
agenda.
a homeowner in that.
that's
That's it.
did you bring copies of the agenda, Howard?
So because of that,
Thank you.
and he was like pretty nasty with the emails a few months back, so I had it marked. So if something comes there, it's a 911.
There you go. Good call. Yeah, he does get pretty feisty.
That's the worst stretch. So just right there for about 200 yards, the roots all run with the curb along this line. So that repair as well was probably 5 yards away from the one previous before it. So we know that area.
Yeah, that's not,
At least we identified it. We know where the hot spot is. So
Yeah.
we kept those parts on hand,
no, I agree.
so we can get to that pretty quick, but.
Everybody got a copy. Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, I drove through the community. It looks great.
It's just a little dry.
Yeah, it's dry everywhere.
Oh, we held out pretty well here because of the shade trees, but when they interrupted that with the Toho, the water,
Yep.
that kind of did its thing, but there's no damage. We just need water.
Well, we were supposed to get water Monday, rain Monday, then we we're supposed to get rain a week from Sunday. No, now that's no.
Toho's had the water off. Now it's back on.
So
Or
last.
is it back off?
All right, it's 6 o'clock. Like to call this meeting of the Harmony CDD to order. We'll start with the roll call. Dan,
I'm here.
Lucas,
Here.
Carol,
President,
Joe.
you here?
Joe, are you on mute?
He's not on the Zoom call right now.
Oh, well, she'll be joining us, I'm sure. And I'm Mark, the manager, the chairman. We do have a quorum. I'm sure we'll have a full board. Joe will be joining us by Zoom. We start with audience comments. I remind people that audience comments are limited to 3 minutes and it is not a question and answer session. Should you have questions, feel free to email members of the board. I think I've answered about 5 in the last 3 or 4 days, so we do get back to you. Do we have any comments online on the Zoom calls? There being
I make a
none-
comment, this is Joe Januzak.
Yes, Joe.
My comment is just thank you for the board members that did comment to my comments that I sent them. That's it. Thank you.
What?
Sorry,
That's
we
it.
had sound in here. Can you say that again, Joe?
I just want to thank several of I made some comments to the board members and several of them got back to me and I just want to thank them for that.
Very good. Do we have any other comments from people?
More of a question, but if you can't answer it, that's fine. I'll try it. Do you want me to step up or?
In the microphone.
Oh, for an answer, but if you can't, that's fine. I'm Kevin Shea, 3216 Blazing Star. I tried to read through the minutes of last month and it wasn't clear. I wanted to see if there's any sort of a determination or what the next steps are for the alley project at Blazing Star.
Well, first of all, it's nice to meet you. I know we've exchanged communication. We're trying to get a better price. The
Okay.
price was $80,000, which we thought was nuts.
A little bit.
Yeah. So we're working on getting a better price. And it's my understanding that we're gonna get a proposal tonight from our engineer to try and do something to help with the problem, to get it to 2 years from now when we're gonna redo all the alleys in that neighborhood anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it definitely needs a Band-Aid before then. As on my way here too, the road is even getting chipped away, almost 25% into the actual alley is just sand now.
Yeah,
So
no, we
it
understand,
needs TLC, so.
but 80,000
appreciate it.
was way too much.
Understood, yeah. I'll do it for half.
All right, thanks. Thank you. Okay, well, moving right along then.
Are there any other?
No, no other comments. We only got one other person. Okay, let's move on to staff reports. Landscaping.
Hello, my name is Nick Womasny with Benchmark Landscaping. So to follow up with a couple of the requests. we- So with the park that you had asked me to look at, these two over here at the back. So as we went and drove and we looked at it, we seen it was Bahia, it wasn't even the St. Augustine. So there's two suggestions I have. A, we put down Bahia sod now. And every 3 to 5 years, we'll have to do that. It's just the traffic. Or in November, we could put out a winter rye seed. And at the same time we apply that, we apply Argentine Bahia seed as well. That seed takes 6 months to germinate. By the time the rye seed wears off, right around when it gets around 75 degrees in the soil, the Bahia will start. That is more cost effective, and that's something we can do at all of the Bahia parks, the two back to back right here, and then a couple of the other ones, and we could use that at like, in the front corner on the west entrance. That's something we can do in November at all of the Bahia areas, and in the spring we'll have more Bahia seed, so.
You're firstly talking about the Middlebrook.
Correct.
Right? Does that have irrigation over there?
Yes.
It does.
We seen heads in the boulevard.
Okay,
So I mean, it is worth it. It is something,
okay,
I mean, that's why I did say, hey, we can do sod.
okay.
But cost, it's kind of up to you guys. I personally think if we went with rye seed mix and we did all of them, we could probably get better results for the same price of one for all of them. And that's something we could probably do every other year, and we would see consistent results in those areas, because the foot traffic is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the foot traffic, that's the thing, and my husband used to call it bulldozer blight. And, even with new grass, I mean, as long as you have people walking back and forth by those mailboxes, you're never gonna have grass there really, because there's just too much traffic.
But the Bahia root system is good and in our favor for foot traffic. I mean, it's like 3 times longer than St. Augustine. So I mean, it is worth doing that just every 2 to 3 years. Do the mix.
That's fine. I like the rye when it comes in through.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, it's nice and green.
We should probably,
For the winter.
just put
That's what the
rye
golf
out.
course does. They put the rye, it's so thick and then it
Yeah,
dies off and
it-
it gets hot out, but.
But that actually helped, that root base helps germinate the Bahia.
Okay.
So I've had really good success.
Yeah, anything's better than what it is now, so if that's the cheaper option, I'm for
I
that.
think
And it's probably a better solution than.
it is long-term, because that's something we can do every other November. You could do a rotation. We'll do these parks on Five Oaks this November. The following November, we might want to do it on the soccer field and the parks behind schoolhouse. Vandalism. So at Buck Lake, we had an incident where we put plants in. Protocarpus around the well and all of the pipe and electrical. We drove by, we seen it. They weren't stolen. We found them in the playground later on. We went ahead and we put them back. Of course, we did, check the irrigation. We didn't have the water, but we knew everything was in good play. I told my production manager to keep an eye on it. The very next day, someone went in and kicked all of the sprinklers, not just breaking the nozzles, some down to the bottom pipe assembly, ripping them up, throwing them. We're monitoring it. I don't know how to stop that. So
It's not your
those
job.
plants are really stressed out now. We are 4 months in a pretty serious drought. The ones that weren't disturbed are fine, however, we did find them, we did put them back. We do have to monitor it though, but it is all week. We've been dealing with that and it's repeating. So it's, you know,
Has this been reported to the sheriff?
well, no, because nothing was stolen. And it wasn't until just yesterday that we seen that someone had broke the sprinklers.
Okay.
And the sheriff, in my experience, they're just not gonna do anything, so it's kind of, it will fall on deaf ears. We'll get more results, bringing it to you. It's a continuing problem. I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. So,
Is that the first time you've seen landscaping be vandalized?
no, but it's
Well, I
the,
mean, in our community.
well, do you remember when we put in our new timers?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So was the first time when they took down one of the Rainbird sensors. So this is the second time.
Okay.
I've seen dumping here. That's a pretty big problem
Yeah.
on the west entrance especially. It's been documented. We've seen them, you know, bang nails into the tree trunk trying to build tree houses.
Hmm.
But as far as this level, no, not at all, actually. It's pretty rare. And then to see them come back and then the piping, it's pretty malicious, but first time in my little bit of time here, I've seen it like that. So I made a note to bring it to your attention. So if you wonder why those are stressed out, they were floating across the playground.
Thank you.
Moving forward, because of the drought conditions, I did not order the sod for Caprior. We want, because in the proposal, we have to make sure that those sprinklers there are repaired. I couldn't get water to it. I've had 2 IMC reports that had to be stopped somewhat midway. I scheduled for an emergency one due to the phone calls we've been getting about South Lake. The reason why South Lake is maybe getting beat up a little bit, they have the least amount of shade. The shade is what's helped us, especially in Caprior. Normally, this time last year, we were cooked. With the fertilization and us staying off of it and being on top of the leaves a little bit more this year, we've seen better results, but it's still, if you drive out, especially in the evening, you'll see it wilting a little bit. So out here in the sun, it's cooking. So we put in an emergency IMC report, and if there's any breaks or issues, we were gonna actually do it differently and make sure South Lake is done first. So that way the president of the HOA, he can be informed, hey, we checked it, we checked the valves, we checked the solenoids and the sprinklers, you're functioning. And then I can give him a little education as to why he's seeing it burnt. That Bahia gold, I know it looks bad, but it will come right back. A little bit of rain, those roots are, you know, deep. There's not much traffic on it. It will bounce. Nothing needs to be replaced. It's just an eyesore, and I get it.
Mm.
But we have no rain in sight, and irrigation is just a supplement for rain. So it's just, this is where the problem is this year. Last year was Caprior. We're monitoring it, we're on it, and there's a plan to correct it. Same thing with the flowers. We have to pick the selection. Now that the irrigation's going, we move forward with that. The price is in the contract, so there's no question or issues there.
It's purple salvia and pink and red pentals.
So yeah, I think we're gonna do the salvia at the entrance because they require the utmost full sun. And then we're gonna do the rest in the mix and the islands. And I think that's gonna look gorgeous.
Then can we get 2 colors of salvia for the entrance?
I told Jacob I wanted a mixed variety of that, and I'll get back with you on that.
Great.
But 2 is the goal.
Great.
All right. And the trees, we're wrapping up. I fully expect that this time next month for the roadways to all have a clearance of 15 feet. And at that point, we will remove what mulch the garden doesn't want, and we'll clean up that as well, along with the leaf debris, which we're still doing, but it's wrapping up as well. We will do our common grounds after we have focus on Caprior, so we can get FERT to those folks and the sod down and turn it over as planned.
On the verge.
Correct, for schoolhouse,
Yeah.
Caprior and 5 Oaks up to that utility pump. That is all I have. The forecast is to wrap those things up, make sure that the water's running good, keep the grass around 4¼ inches.
When do you expect that the verge fertilization and sodding will be complete?
So right now, tomorrow I have another team coming in to continue removing the leaves from the dog park to the roundabout. After that, the next week, we are going to do the IMC for that to make sure those sprinklers on Capri are good. That's separate from the team that's gonna be worrying about the rest of the community with our hotspots and issues, and, you know, checking on that water bill. They're gonna make those necessary repairs. Once those repairs are made and I confirm them by putting my own eyes on them, at that point, I'll order the sod. Depending how the sod fields look and see how they fared in this drought, then I will determine when we will order that, but next month.
And how about leaf removal, like on, the verges, on CBD property?
So we're gonna do one more hard blowout like we've done on schoolhouse and the portion of Caprior as you've seen. We're also gonna do that with the beds, and then that will conclude the leaf removal for this year.
And when do you anticipate that being over?
This month, or well, May coming
May.
up, yeah. So because we're gonna take advantage of it being this dry. If I put equipment on it, I will cook it. So that same staff, well, then we'll move right to that. So it'll actually be helpful. We will take advantage of the drought in the ways we can. We can't really trim as much bushes. We've already started treating for fire ants in hotspot areas. If we see them, we're applying liquid right away, so it's just not an issue. So leaves are our priority in getting that sod in the ground with the irrigation. Once all that's done, then I think we can conclude with our regular mowing program. When I feel confident that it's not so dry and we can put equipment on it, but it's still edged, weeded, you know, the flower beds are clean, but I just want to keep off the turf until everything's resolved.
The trees look good that you guys have worked on. Just I don't know if you guys have lift or if someone can get with a pole saw on Dark Sky where it comes off of Five Oaks. Noticed that some of the tree work that was done, there's maybe a few branches, including one kind of large one that like got cut most of the way. It's dead, but it's dangling down still. I don't know if that's just.
It could be they nicked it, it could be something, you know, so when we go through and I do my final inspection with him for the, you know, there's a couple of places that we have to knock on the door, there's a pickup truck. That will also be, I've seen it, it's too high up for me to get it with what I have, but that's noted in the list for me to stop at. There's like 3 spots I've seen, that is one of them. They're gonna have to get those as well as where the automobiles are before they're complete on our end.
Thank you.
This is from, I heard with a different CBD. Is there, you mentioned Toho and the irrigation. Is there like was it just like a temporary thing they did to maybe like limit when it could be run? Or is that something that we have to change?
I was told it was construction, but I do know that there is limits. So I think it was a mixture of both. They could have implemented that, but I do know that within the times that you were saying, we were conducting an IMC report in about 30% way through midway, he lost all power. And even at my house, I didn't have any. I don't know if it was an issue that came back. So, but that did it a few times this month.
Okay, yeah, because I was at a Harmony West's CDD meeting, and yeah, they basically like they had brought up the Toho and were getting like no consideration, like that if it's like it sounded the way I heard it, it sounded like there's like this window of time that they were like cutting pressure was like intentional, that they're using that to enforce not watering at those, you know, peak sunlight hours.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, I'm gonna call them because, you know, for an IMC report, there is times that we're gonna need access to the water, you know, but normally when I go to a timer, it'll say that there's no more available water at that time, and it's not reading that.
Okay.
So it's just flat off.
That's a good point, Dan. I was gonna bring that up too, because it's happened at I had to change my timing system for my irrigation because I was getting no pressure I was like, it was in the morning, but I changed it to at nighttime. But yeah, there's certain times that Toho has, I guess, changed that your pressure is like nothing, basically.
That and with
No.
the construction right in front, the
Right.
cutting, and I'm like, okay, maybe they gotta bleed out a line. I get it.
Yeah, Harmony West, you know, so that's still a developer CDD, and they were, oh well, maybe I'll go talk to Toho, and you know,
It didn't work.
Yeah.
They're in the same boat we are.
Right.
I was there last night. I'm like, look, just wait it out.
Okay, just make sure we'll stay on the top of it.
Yeah, we're on it. I mean, it's our biggest priority because, you know, we were doing pretty well. We were green. I was actually surprised that I was talking to another PM and I was like, hey, we're pretty green over here. And he's like, yeah, God bless you. It's there, smoked.
It's getting crispy out there.
It is. Other parts, man, they don't have this is when the shade trees really are a benefit to us because they saved a lot. That's St. Augustine, you know. But over here, they're not as established, so
Yeah.
we took a hit, but we'll rebound. I haven't seen spots where we need to replace huge amounts of St. Augustine, just our typical, you know, spots that are burnt up there
Patches,
for
yeah.
that bug, right? That was normal. But that's all I have for you guys. Is there any questions or anything I can do?
Oh, I think you've answered them.
All right,
Thanks, Nate. Appreciate it. Thank you.
you guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you, man.
And
Thank
Joe
you.
did join during the landscaping.
Yeah, I was going to point out for the record, note that Joe Phillips has joined the meeting. Welcome, Joe.
Hi, I was trying to enter the code on my computer instead of on my iPad. So it was 6:04 before I figured out how dumb I was.
Problem. Next, we have field manager.
Hi, my name is Jorge. I'm the field service supervisor. You want to hear about the splash pad? Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
with that-
You want the good news or the bad news? We'll take the good news.
Yeah, the good news, the computer is good, but the monitor is not working. So the monitor is the one that controls the water levels, and the motion is working, and the piece is in back order. That's why they cannot provide me a price yet.
but we can turn it on, right?
Yeah. Mhm. We
So,
can turn it on by hand, and
but not
it can
automatic.
shut down by the clock. Yeah, it's working.
Oh, all right, so you turn it on and
By
then
hand.
it, by hand,
Mhm.
but then you can have it on a timer so that it automatically
Timer is
goes.
working, yeah.
And how long does the timer give you?
Anytime we can set 7, 6, but we have to. test.
Hours.
Yeah,
Well,
but
what?
the other issue is the water, the chlorine that we have is not good. We have to empty the whole tank and bring the new chlorine.
Okay.
And I have been waiting for 2 weeks. I'm calling them
Oh,
every
to get
3
the
days
chlorine.
and they haven't come yet.
Well, because certainly residents have noticed that it's
Yeah.
coming on,
Mhm.
so.
We can provide we can do the chlorine by hand, but it's not
Okay,
good. Yeah, it's
So
gonna
so
be-
we should actually inform people that the water's not safe right now.
yeah. Mhm. But it's working.
What company or vendors is responsible for the water chlorine?
We have right now Pulsure, but we currently don't have a contract with them.
Okay.
That's why they're taking so long. And I'm looking,
Contract for what? I'm trying to understand we've never had a contract with Full Shore.
No.
We've only ever gotten full chemicals from Full Shore because we have certified pool operator on site
Mhm.
that does that, so we don't have a contract. Are they talking about are they wanting us to enter into like a maintenance contract for something?
for the feeders, to replace them, to make sure they're working right.
So
Yeah,
they wanna give us a proposal to replace the feeders?
yeah, to control them, because they have a sensor in there that they know the level, so
Okay.
they can bring it, we don't have to order them.
Oh, so it's it's the automatic feeder where they can see on the app that we're low and they could just come and drop instead of you guys having to
And
call.
if we need service to change the hoses,
Mhm.
the feeders, or to make sure they're working right, we need the,
Howard, can we get a proposal for them for this maintenance service for the feeder and the hoses and whatever else it
Yeah.
includes to present to the district?
Mhm.
Because they keep saying, we don't have a contract with you, and I'm like, but a
Mhm.
contract for what? And no one has answered me, because I'm like, we've never had a contract
Yeah.
with Full Shore.
I wonder if
So-
we maintained it internally before, instead of having, well, it's already implemented, right? The feeder, like it's probably.
yeah, it's
sensor.
there.
What
It
they're
like takes
saying
sample and
is-
says, okay, this is the current
Instead of
levels.
them going and doing it, looking at it and going, oh, we're low, calling
Yeah.
Full Shore and saying, hey, we need a delivery.
Mhm.
Full Shore saying, if we get into a maintenance contract with them, I'm assuming,
Mhm.
that they'll monitor these feeders, and when we're getting low, they'll just automatically bring chemicals out instead of us having to call them.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like
And-
the feeder probably has chemicals in it that they feed the water, no?
It does.
Maybe, so it's like automatic,
Yeah.
like it's
is.
always sensing the water and it's, you know,
Yeah,
and then it will
in-
put
sometimes we have to
chemicals
do it by
into it
hand.
to maintain, instead of having to manually come out there and throw stuff into the water and.
is the
Yeah.
problem, because they just drop chemicals off to
Be-
us,
Because
and we put the chemicals in.
we're testing
right?
the water by hand and it's not getting us the same numbers.
Oh, okay,
So they need to come and check the controls in there
oh.
or change it.
maybe the feeders
Cal-
are bad.
calibrate the
Yeah.
system or something.
Well,
It sounds like the feeders are bad.
Yeah.
right, but then you said there's a monitor that they're waiting on. Is that like a chemical monitor? Is it a pressure monitor?
Is it a display monitor?
I think it's just-
Oh, that's the splash pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for
what
the
is-
splash pad,
Uh-huh.
the
Okay,
monitor. Yeah.
okay.
Uh-huh.
What,
Okay,
is that what we're
sorry.
talking about?
That's what I thought.
I missed the, I missed the transition.
Wait a minute,
Oh,
did we,
What's the feeder? The feeder is part of the.
pools?
Yeah,
They changed
Oh.
one, but to be able to, they want a contract
Okay, well.
to be working with that and place them.
Yeah, well, I think we missed. So we were talking about the water in the splash pad. Maybe we need to leave it off or something if
I think
we're not
so.
sure about
Yeah,
the.
we need
We're
to
not
empty
sure,
the
so-
tank
So
to
is it,
refill it.
Okay,
And they need to calibrate the feeders.
So we're
Okay.
still on the splash pad.
Yeah,
We're not on the pools.
yeah, the pools. The swim club have the same problem as a splash pad with the feeders.
Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
that's where, okay.
okay.
but didn't we just replace motors? Are the motors replaced? At the
The,
pool, there
at
we
the
had
pool?
some motors that needed to be replaced.
Those are the
I have
heaters.
here these two
Let's
quotes for the,
finish the splash pad first.
for the swim club. Yeah. Mhm. That's for the pump, the impeller, change everything, yeah. It's just- Mhm.
Well, let's finish with the splash pad.
Yeah.
So, so now what's wrong with the splash pad is that the feeders, the automatic feeders aren't working properly. So we need to get a proposal from Pool Shore to replace them and to have a contract to maintain
Just the feeders and keep coming with
chemicals.
to replace the chemicals, to fill it up again.
Doesn't seem like it should be that expensive, but. You know,
Well,
it's-
we're
the
this
splash pad
far.
is a gold mine. It's just,
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah. No, it's a sinkhole.
Yeah,
is
there you
this.
go. sinkhole. Not a gold
Because
mine.
we can turn it on, but the water is not safe.
Yeah,
Well, until we have a proposal in front of us, there's not much we can do about
no,
it. Let's move on to the pool.
Yeah, that's the one with the pump with the bearings that are making a lot of noise. It's been there for around 5 years now. And to empty the tank and the filters, it's taking us like an hour and a half to clean them because it's draining slow.
And so what is this needed for?
Hmm?
Wh-
pump.
Why do you need this?
Because they're not, why do you need pumps?
That's the one that's making a lot of noise.
Oh,
that
that's
they were
the black
complaining
one.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bearings are bad. Have one
Bearings.
broken, yeah, and
You're saying it's about 5 years old,
and the
and it's about 5 years old.
yeah. Mhm.
I thought this one was older.
And it's
So the
vertical.
pump needs to be replaced.
and this is at the main
Maple.
swim club?
Yeah.
But it's not needed at the Ashley Park Swim Club.
It's not needed at the Ashley's Park Swim Club.
No,
Well,
Two quotes for the same thing. Two quotes for the same.
yeah, it's the same. Yeah.
yeah, vertical pump.
Mhm.
I even close, weird.
Still waiting for another one, but haven't received it yet.
And this one is from
It's both for the
March
same.
28th,
Yeah.
and this one is from April 24th.
Mhm.
So Joe, just FYI, we have two proposals. One is from Spees for $9,825. The other is from Boston for $12,550.10. Don't forget the 10 cents. So I guess move to approve speeds for $9,825 plus tax.
Spees.
Mm.
Do I have a second?
Just note that
Any more
we're,
discussion?
just note that we're right up against the 30 days on that quote,
Yes,
so.
that's
just
my
make sure-
point.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor?
I-
Aye.
Motion passes. Anything else? That's enough,
Upholstery,
huh?
upholstery on boats.
Oh, yeah.
Boats,
The
they,
posted on boat.
the first two, they're supposed to come Tuesday. So it's next Tuesday, they're gonna bring the other two. The two small ones. And
And-
they're gonna take the big one.
I
to
should-
work on it.
Couple at a time.
Yeah, I don't wanna do all of them at the same time because we're not able to give to them to the residents. Yeah,
And then the east entrance tower, the painting?
Yeah.
What about it?
done.
It's done.
Yeah,
So it's
the
all
signs,
painted.
yeah.
Everything's all painted. Okay.
It looks really nice.
And what about the rocks for the Garden Road
We put them yesterday.
yesterday?
Mhm.
How is it, Marilyn? Have you been down there?
What's
The rocks for the Garden Road?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, they were put down yesterday, he says.
Yeah, they were put down, and, you know, the road was closed off and put down.
Mhm.
And they put bark mulch for us on the back along the back fence, so we thank them for that. We spread it from there.
Nice.
It's great.
That's all I have.
So,
Thank you for getting the, end of the bond.
Yeah, the middle group, yeah. Thank you.
You're killing it.
so, briefly getting back to the splash pad, if we're waiting for this, action on the feeder, my thought is just, is there anything we can do proactively rather than waiting until approving something at next month's meeting? And it's definitely starting to get warm and anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree. We need to get that chlorine fixed
Mhm.
ASAP. Then we just turn the thing on and leave it on for 6 hours.
Well, do we need to authorize anything or just, I mean, give that as direction or?
I'm waiting for them to come and calibrate that and make sure it's sending the right chlorine to be able.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as it's testing safe
Mhm. Yeah,
for kids to play around in,
Mhm.
then yeah, I think just,
because we did it by hand, but it's taking the chlorine too fast.
but yeah, then just turn it on and. Well, let's see, what's a good time?
8 AM, 9 AM?
Well, no, not on school days. Doesn't make sense on school days.
People home.
Well, school is gonna be out shortly.
Yeah,
All right, well, turn it on.
Run it every day.
8 to 6.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 to 7 because it's gonna be summertime. Even 8 to 8 might work.
Well, what time do you guys get here?
we get here at 7.
Oh,
Yeah, but it can be automatic once it's, right? You can just set the clock to be.
Oh,
run it
okay.
automatically.
It just won't do all the
That's-
games, right? It just,
Yeah, it's not too high the pressure right now because we need the monitor to control the pressure, but it's working. Yeah,
yeah, okay. Yeah, get that chlorine done ASAP and then turn the thing on.
all right.
Yep.
Just make sure we don't need to do anything as a board here versus waiting another full month.
Mhm.
No.
Anything
you.
else? Good. Thank you.
District engineer, how much we gonna spend now?
Yeah, keep them coming, it's all good.
Relatively quick, I only have 4 things to discuss.
Oh,
2 are quick. So we touched base with Osceola County on the review of the maintenance facility. We have yet to get the complete responses. The email today said, I'm very sorry. Engineering is unfortunately understaffed and we are running behind these reviews. I'll give you what I have. So she gave me 911, fire department, the coordinator and planning of the 18 comments I think have pertained to the dumpster. So nothing big, but as soon as we get engineering, it'll be a resubmittal back to them. So things like buffering and the fence and the dumpster screening and things like that. Nothing was a deal killer yet. So that's the update on maintenance.
Did we
Blaze?
talk about maintenance facility? Do we have it elsewhere on the budget? Yes, under 4A, never mind, sorry.
Okay.
Blazing Star Lane, last meeting, we talked about an alternative to get the cost down, so we could maybe consider just getting something up there sooner than later. So my guy Greg went back and forth with some contractors and some geotechnical engineers on a mixture of asphalt millings and a base that can still withstand the pressure of the garbage truck. So as a point of reference, I'm gonna give you the high bidder from the other project versus what he bid it on for the milling and resurfacing. I mean, the millings, and so it was $135,000 when we did the full-fledged, do it all 100%. And the revised number came in at 80. So from this point of view, it was a $55,000 savings. I didn't put this in the street for bid. This is just me asking the full pavement restoration versus the asphalt millings. So if we do put in the street for bid, the low bid last time was 70, maybe we'll break 40, 35,000, I don't know, but until you're ready to tell me to put on the street for bid, this was just a planning number for your budget meeting this morning or this afternoon.
But that's just to do this corner.
It's to do that corner.
And you
Yep.
told us during the budget meeting that the cost to do absolutely everything runs about $100 a foot.
$100.
That would include this.
Well, that's just purely milling and resurfacing. This is one of the few areas that needs pavement repairs. We had some of that a little bit in the.
But that would likely get wrapped into the $100 a foot.
Yes.
So,
If you can wait another year, then, the people living there, it's,
yeah, I'm guessing there are not, let's see, 80,000 divided by 100. I'm guessing there's not 800 feet of alley to fix there.
well, no, because now we're doing, we're bringing in a compacted base, we're bringing recycled aggregate, and then we're putting asphalt milling. So it's more than just simply scraping out the asphalt and putting, so.
So do we have a really cheap solution we can do until
Well-
we're ready to do everything?
If you want me, I can actually put in the bid and get vendor quotes. I just had the guy help us, give us some recommendations. And he offered up a proposal just for the sake of the budget meeting. But I haven't given this to the vendors yet to get you guys a real number if you want to go that route for next meeting. So,
And
So we're still, sounds like we're talking $40,000.
yeah, 30, maybe 30, 45, 30, 30, 35, I'm guessing at this point. To completely restore that, I still think haven't heard back from the waste management or the insurance company.
No, and Howard's been, yeah, he's been following up as well, and I've seen all the emails. They have the claim, and we gave them all the information she asked for, and nothing. And he follows up,
Okay.
if not twice a week, yeah.
Well, what I can do is ask 3 or 4 vendors for an actual quote and bring it forth. If it's still too much, you can decide to table it if you want it another month, so.
That was expensive, but I feel like we need to.
Do something. Well, we do need to do something. It's been several months already. And, I mean, we used to have our field services guys do minor repairs. I mean, this is kind of a major repair, but it seems like if, even if we get some cement fines or something to get in there, I'm not sure that would do the trick, but, it's been taking a lot of time to get them solutions.
Yeah, so Kevin Shea was just here. Got it. He brought up the issue. So yeah. Let's go on for 4 or 5 months ago. I know I said it's expensive, but we should probably take some action to.
Well, let me reach out to the vendors and this guy did us a favor to help out a little bit and just give me a ballpark relative number, but I'll get some actual quotes and then maybe you can vote it on next month and get something done, so.
If we did the whole alley, what would that?
The whole alley was,
better
that
off.
neighborhood was like 400,000, 350, yeah, the whole community for that area. So.
For the neighborhood.
And there'd be a lot more staging and, equipment and stuff for a larger projects compared to this small portion, or is it?
Yeah, you're asking a contractor to come out, no matter how big or small, there's mobilization
Right.
costs. So that kind of gets hidden in the cake mix when you get a big
Right.
project. So to get them out there, to get guys out there with the equipment and, do it over a week's period of time.
Right. Well, the question is, since it is just, working on that one corner, is it like a reduced set, is there like less overhead compared to a year or 2 or whatever from now when we're doing the full project, or is it about that same mobilization we're looking at between the two? curiosity.
Percentage wise, it's a lot higher with this little project.
Oh, sure, I understand, and, just trying to, work out the benefits of maybe doing a portion of it now and then not expecting that it would make the job a couple years from now that much cheaper.
Well, I'll walk it. If it looks like there's one or two bad runs, if you want to do those in advance plus the corner, that's another option. If the majority of it's in good shape and there's one bad run, then maybe you can consider doing. But to get a big truck out there to do it, again, you're gonna be paying for this big, huge milling resurface equipment to
Right.
rip up maybe one stretch of roadway, so.
And do they own those pieces of equipment or do they rent those out?
Some rent them and some own it. Yeah. The bigger boys have their own, otherwise they, yeah. Second last thing, when Angel referenced the 90.4%, I just graphically brought this to show you that everything in
I like how little ones.
Oh.
Everybody wants to.
What are you referring to with that percentage?
the bond, you have to be over 90% for the, go up to a bond is an option. So we did
90% what?
Built.
built out, yeah,
Vertical.
vertical. So out of the 1,469 parcels, 141 are still vacant. And then put us at 90.4%. So I'm just showing you in general, it's three specific areas, North Lake, empty lots in the estates, and what's under construction now by Rosewood. Everything else is green, houses, buildings. So this just supports, if you do go forward the bond, there's the computations. And of course, we're still building houses fairly soon in North Lake and what's under construction in Rosewood, so.
You guys are good to get it on.
And last thing, when I do invoices, when I get Catherine's, I treat her separately, but it kind of goes through our letterhead. And so I noticed when I was looking at the general, your spreadsheet, it's showing that we're projected to be 30,000 over budget,
Well,
but I got to somehow separate hers and ours, or,
you also too need to take in consideration those projections. That's if we keep spending exactly the way
At that
we're
rate.
spending.
okay,
Yours, that's why I like to keep legal and engineer on actual, budget instead of actuals, because we don't keep spending the way we're spending. It's based off of project base and time and stuff like that. So I like to sometimes just look at it to see, okay, you guys, if you keep spending the way you're spending, yes, you're gonna be overrun. But again, you and legal are more subjective based on what they're actually
Okay.
needing you to do. So we very well could not go over, but.
I didn't know
always
if you
like
wanted me to
show
break
that.
out the subs we run through us, or just keep it the way it's been going, so.
Well, I think the explanation to the board is if we do run over, I think that's the
It's
explanation.
Catherine or the
You've got
surveyor.
20,000 in here for this, you've got 5,000 in here for a surveyor, and this was our actual cost.
Okay.
And I think that's easy explanation if the board wants to see that. So maybe in the future, if the board wants, we run it under all engineer, but we keep like a spreadsheet that I can include in the agenda saying, okay, in this engineering, these are the projects that have been worked on, and this is where this money went. on individual
Infomark did tell me to break my invoices, which we have been doing, so
Correct.
Catherine gets her own separate invoice through us, and then we have our
Mhm.
labor costs, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's easy for me to produce that information for you all if you want. Very easy to do.
Very good.
that's it, thank you very much.
Thank you.
But
We
don't
are
leave
just
yet.
I know,
rolling,
we're gonna see the sunset.
right?
District Council? Do we have anybody from
Kate John is here.
district?
John.
Hi, good morning. I'm sorry, good morning.
Morning.
I've clearly had quite the day. Good evening, board supervisors. Glad to be here. I have no report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Oh,
Real quick, when you get to the garden shed, a reminder, we will need a county permits for the structure.
okay. You've asked if we have any questions.
Yes, Chair.
Anybody have any questions?
No?
Maybe during supervisor requests, but.
Does anybody have anything in supervisor requests that'll be required the lawyer to ask anything?
Yeah, now
I'm
would be the
looking.
time as opposed to supervisor request.
Okay, so background, there is a conservation area between Harmony and Harmony West. And,
Oh, They're
yeah,
not.
no, I know, but
Yeah.
that's the
I was gonna
preamble.
say, they would, they're not.
I
Pine on that, I guess.
Right, well, no, my question was, we recently, for now, have lost access to some trails that we had, in that land between, the two communities. There are some, parcels of, land that are owned by the CDD that in the past have had trails, going through them out to Buck Lake, but are technically in, conservation areas. So maybe this goes to, David as well. Would there be any restrictions, things we need to be aware of, related to, you know, Army Corps or Swift Mid or whatever, for just it's land that we own? It's historically has, trails through some of that portion. Is there anything legally or just regulation wise that we need to be aware of if we were to consider just using landscaping or get a contractor or whatever for just opening up some of those trail areas that are on land that we own, but is still.
If they were
deeded
there,
conservation?
if they were there for a while and they need a little bit of spring cleaning, you're okay. If you're blazing a new path, that's a different issue, but if it's an existing trail that's been heavily overgrown, you just need to cut it back, you should be okay.
That's it.
And then, between the estates and, the enclave. I know there was a water main back there. I don't know if there's a trail back there, but we were, Mark Catanese has been talking about wanting to see if it's possible to have a walking trail, possibly with wetlands, with boardwalks. I don't know. I told him boardwalks were very expensive, but
Yeah, at the time they did the project to finish the loop, if you will, for the water.
Long Pond.
No, the water mains. There's a water main that runs through there. I remember that the developer at the time did not want to, they looked at putting in a wooden raised trail, and that was $200,000, and that was 12 years ago.
Mhm.
So it would be a small fortune to run that through there. Their HOA is certainly welcome to do so. We'd certainly give them permission.
While we have Kate on, I do just want to bring up what I was just talking to with Dan, but it was a separate issue. This came up last month earlier this month with Harmony West. They have decided there were some trails that were on their property and some bridges on their property, but I am guessing from research and from backstory that Harmony residents used to use them.
And built them.
Hmm?
And built them.
And, yeah.
When it was privately owned
So,
by
right, when it was
developers, yes.
privately owned, that is correct. So what has happened now is Harmony West has decided to tear them down.
Has already torn them down.
Yes, they have done 3 of them, and they have no desire and will not be maintaining those trails in the future. If that is something that this board wants to entertain or get with Harmony West on, then we would need to hire outside counsel to do that, because QTAC Rock represents both districts.
So,
So that's all I wanted to make sure, because we had talked about it offline, and it actually happened right after you and I left the Buck Lake committee meeting. That's when they talked about it and made the determination. And we don't stay for those meetings, or at least I don't stay for those meetings. I don't know if Mark stayed or not, but we typically only attend the committee meeting, and the only thing that's talked about in the committee meeting is Buck Lake and the shared agreement. So that's kind of where that's at. But if this board wants to go any further with that, you would need to get outside counsel.
so let me give you some background on it.
Sure.
The HOA had been spending HOA funds to maintain that, to mow it, to maintain the bridges, etc. And when we learned that Harmony West had acquired the property, we asked Mark Hills to reach out to Harmony West to see if we could get some kind of agreement where we could assist in maintaining those trails, since we were already doing it.
Right.
Harmony West provided us with a contract or an agreement that pushed all responsibility, all liability, and all expense on our HOA without taking on any responsibility, expense, or liability themselves. So we requested that Mr. Hills go back and ask for a renegotiation where there was some cost sharing, responsibility sharing, liability sharing. We did not hear anything from Harmony West whatsoever. Mr. Hills never came back to us with any kind of answer. We learned earlier this month that Harmony West had, without consulting our HOA at all, or even giving us any information, decided to spend $16,000 to tear down the bridges. So I guess my point is, I'm not sure I recommend negotiating with Harmony West because I'm not sure they really have, I think my inkling with their tearing out the bridges is they don't want any expense, they don't want any liability, and they don't want any responsibility.
Yeah. Clearly, they don't want to be in the, they don't share the original vision Harmony had.
But I do have a question for David. Because Harmony West owns that property and there are invasives on it, aren't they required to monitor and manage the invasives on that property?
I assume they have the same permit conditions we are, responsible for. So if there's overall climbing firms taking off, it's obviously going to spread to us. Whether or not we have to inform the district that we're doing the best we can, they need to be equally as involved in making sure they do the same. Otherwise, we're going to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on their neighbor, may not really be doing their fair share.
And what do you recommend?
I can have, when Bill comes out here to do a quick assessment for a proposal, I'll just have, he's not too shy, he'll walk over there. If he says it's out of control, then I'll call the district or notify the district.
Part of the area that we have seen over Climbing Fern is now less accessible because the bridge has been removed. So I'm not sure how he'll access that. Because all you can really see is Butterfly Trail. And where the over Climbing Fern is along Lily Pond Loop, which was accessible by the bridge.
There's a driveway from 192. You can still get back to that.
I suppose, yeah. Yeah, so along 192, I don't know what the condition of the trail is from 192 into Lily Pond Loop, but at this point, because nobody's maintained it, but he may be able to drive through there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I only brought this up because, I did, just as a concerned resident, attend Harmony West's meeting last week. Verbally, they said they would maybe consider something to share costs in the future, but again, that was just verbal, and knowing that outside counsel will be, need to be involved, that's, it's a pretty big fish to fry there. But not suggesting we take any action right now, just answer the question about what we can maybe do with land that we do have control over. So.
Very good. District manager. What?
Any updates besides, I know you all get the project board every Friday.
Not really. I mean, we touched on the rocks have been done, splash pad is coming along. The actual, and within the project board is the motion is what it's called. It's got a Jura Plus, I think, from memory. And that's what we need to get for it. I'm gonna wait to see what it finds out to see what it actually equates to. I saw cost ranging from my just personal research between sort of 700 to around $1,000.
For what, I'm sorry, for what is this?
It's just for the splash pad. The motion, what does the motion is the pressure, it opens up the solenoids, closes them, so it creates the, the illusion of the water jumping and that kind of stuff. Like we talked about, the rocks have been done, so we're finished there. But most of the stuff that we have is within the project board. The proposals we'll be getting to for the garden shed, I have my own recommendations just based on the conversations that I have, but I'll bring those up as we get to that point. But other than that.
Toho bill, that huge Toho bill, apparently,
Benchmark, I've emailed them multiple times to find out what is going on there. It seems to be that there must be some kind of issue there, but I haven't had any communication back from them specifically on that.
And I've gotten with Barbara. She's looking into it.
Okay.
And what happened last time was they issued us that credit because it was on their end, which I'm assuming this is on their end as well. So we'll be looking for that, but we're working with Benchmark to do that. Or United, are they Benchmark here? They're Benchmark.
yeah, benchmark.
Working with them and we'll get it resolved.
Okay, because it was something from last month. It's still unresolved.
Yes.
And we already discussed that the insurance from Waste Management, you've not gotten word.
Nothing.
No, and we have the
Like in the
history to
recent-
show we've reached out and we're continuing to reach out and follow up as well.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. Let's talk about the real elephant in the room, huh? Like to thank Angel for forwarding that long email chain to everybody so that we'd all come to this meeting with pretty much the same amount of information. Can I ask Angel what all this means?
Yes, so if you look at the first assessment assumptions, those are your product types. In the far left, you've got multifamily 25-foot lots, 35-foot, 40, and on down to 80. So your total number of units is 1561. So what they did, and this is just bond. This is not private financing or loans. This is just if you were to take out a bond.
Mhm.
We did a 3 million, a 4 million, and a 5 million. So if you do a $3 million bond, if you look, they're all 30-year terms. The CAFI term, 6 months. And then if you go down,
What's COI?
sorry,
COI.
cost of issuance. And debt service reserve fund is the DSFR. So up here at the top, the chart tells you if you were to do a 3 million, that's the annual per unit that your residents would see.
But we
Right?
could do that flat.
Correct. It depends on the methodology, but this is based off of your methodology now.
Correct.
Okay, so multifamily would see 78. The next column is your total, which is the total for all of those multifamily homes. That's all together what they would be paying. If the 4 million follows the same suit, you've got 104 and down, that's their total. 5 million goes to 129, and that's the total. At the bottom, your bond assumptions, it's netted out. So there's the net of 217. It's a 6-month CAFI. Interest rate is 6%, 30-year term, and the par. So then you go down after all the cost of issuances, debt service reserve, and all of that. Your net bond proceeds for each one for 3 million would be 2.5. For 4 million would be 3.5, and 5 million would be 4.5.
Why doesn't this include all the other categories such as office, golf course, common?
Common
Those don't
area.
count.
Look at
Because I mean, there's a number of other things on here that are, are
On the
paying,
assessment schedule.
yeah, on the assessment schedule.
Yeah, which is, it looks like all commercial. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. They'd obviously benefit from the project as well.
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves with the bond. I think everybody's gonna hate me for this, or at least David's gonna hate me for this. But to have a $30,000 a year deficit because of the cost of purchasing the facility, and also the lack of guarantee that the income is going to be coming in, so that the outgo may be more than $30,000 a year, it seems foolhardy to me. And I'm thinking that maybe we should rethink our Five Oaks Drive facility, even though it's more expensive than the Buck Lake facility. It's a bigger, more, yes, public friendly location. Also, it, we don't have to, we're not, feeling like we've got to make it as small as possible. We're not feeling like it's got to be presentable, but it doesn't have to be kind of hidden with landscaping, et cetera.
Where was it going to be on?
On Five Oaks, it's, you know where the new dog park is? Across the street to the golf maintenance facility. So there's the intersection, there's Five Oaks Drive,
Mhm.
and there's the new dog park, and then there's the road to the golf maintenance facility, and on the left side of the road is the space. And that was, you thought of maybe $350,000. All told.
But that would be where our maintenance facility is?
That would be where we would construct, instead of Buck Lake, that we could put it there.
There, I remember that, well, there's a phone easement that I don't know if there was any resolution on, can there be parking over that? Or is that just completely off limits? We can't, but there's a maybe fifth of the property has this phone easement getting into it.
And the reason you didn't want to go back where the garden, that plot is?
Because of the road, we would have to improve the road. And that would be a couple $100,000.
Handle a fire truck and cost of doing that.
Well, that's the wonderful, that's one of the wonderful advantages of acquiring the golf course maintenance facility. Because, you know, it would then be very easy to create a very large parcel. Wouldn't be difficult to get back to that. So you would have an awful lot of land.
But I don't think we need it. And I don't think we need to spend all that money. I think we are going to get ourselves into trouble that way. And, you know, this way, if we, you know, we don't need all that space. It's a lot of management, and then we have to pay the management company more. That's not even included in because who's going to manage all of the rentals? Who's going to manage the showing of the property and the rent collection and the,
yeah, of course,
you know, maintenance of those spaces and I mean, it's a lot of moving parts to have this big piece of property, and then even the, you know, vehicle storage facility is again more management and more liability for us and more maintenance for us. And I don't think we need to be in that business. And if we just focus our efforts on building our community maintenance facility, and that's all it is on Five Oaks right there at a reasonable cost, which we already should have, you know, be putting reserves aside for, then we're done. And we have a nice new good sized facility with its own bathroom and its own office.
and
don't
we
have to worry
avoid the
about
problem of putting it
Buck
in Buck Lake.
Exactly.
David, was there, what was the last we had heard from, we'd have to add a new entry from Five Oaks, right? We wouldn't be able to come in from.
They wanted us to come off the golf maintenance road, not Five Oaks.
Okay, and so doing that would be, would there need to be, since that's, that road is privately owned right now by the golf course and in the future by, we don't know who, would there have to be some sort of easement or something conveyed?
Here, let me get my bearings. Where exactly are we talking about?
On your left as you drive down the golf.
I got a map.
Here we go. All right, here is the golf maintenance facility.
Yep.
Right, here's the dog park. This is right here.
This spot right here. Just this green
Yes,
triangle,
that's correct.
because this is conservation. I
That's
take it?
correct.
So we could fit it all right there in the green triangle.
That's right.
Well, yeah, I don't know if that shows the phone easement, basically the,
No.
of that triangle.
No, not this one.
Okay, yeah, if the property is basically a triangle, the top maybe quarter of it is there's a square that's kind of taken out that blocks off the very, tip of that. I don't know from David if that's just has to be kept completely uncovered. We can't put a building, we can't put a hard surface.
Thought we couldn't put anything on that back part of
Not
it.
necessarily a building, whether or not we can do some type of, parking, with the understanding like an easement.
Mhm.
They gotta rip it up, it's at our cost to replace it.
Right.
I mean, if, depending on what y'all talk about tonight, we'll go back and revisit.
So just to circle back to this, this is a speculative model that was solely based on residential. As we confirm the benefit of the acquisition of the facility, if the commercial has access to specific amenities associated with the golf course, or we can confirm that there is a direct benefit associated with the acquisition and of the capital improvements, we can absolutely add everybody and the assessment rates will be reduced quite substantially.
Okay,
And what you see on this is they'll be reduced.
okay.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. I have,
Commercial and stuff, this is only residential. This was only based off of
This is-
residential.
this is-
right, and so could commercial be added?
That's what, depending on what you all determine to do, then that's what we would have to do. And under the methodology, if we could add, if the commercial has a benefit, the commercial lots and everything in here will have a direct benefit to this, then yes, they can be added and then it would be spread and these numbers would go down. But we wouldn't know that until we got into like the methodology and all
understood.
of that.
And since we have Ms. John here, would you think that the commercial properties would have a direct benefit from having from, I mean, this is for a bond and I'm not in favor of this anyway, because I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's good financial sense. But would they receive a direct benefit in your opinion?
I couldn't opine on that right now, just with how preliminary everything is. We do suggest if the board wants to move forward with this, there would need bond counsel would need to be consulted as well as an underwriter. There's a legal issue and then there's a marketability issue with the bonds, that you have to ensure that everything that this purchase with the bond, you just have to make sure that you're in compliance with the trust indenture and the bond documents. So we do recommend you would need to consult bond counsel.
And we did consult with John Kessler, I believe, Kate, just preliminary, but again, it's the same thing what Kate's saying. We wouldn't know until you all decide how we're gonna do this, what the methodology looks like. But we have got preliminary stuff from John Kessler. But again, we don't have enough to make a definitive anything at this point.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to hear from the rest of the board on your thoughts on what I've just proposed. Are you thinking that
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's viable?
where does everybody stand on what you would prefer to do? Lucas, over to you. I'll get to everybody.
Well, I don't think buckling. I've never liked that anything. I don't think it's gonna work for the community. Now going to the options on 5 Oaks, I always liked the option that we had building that facility there across from the dog park. It was more expensive, obviously, with Buck Lake, but and then we had this option, which is what is this, $2.2 million now? This is very expensive, so I would go with the less costly option. This seems like a very expensive but beneficial option, but I don't know, it seems like a lot to ingest in this point in time. Financially.
Dan, what do you think?
So the 5 Oaks parcel, I mean, that was my preferred location for the maintenance facility back when we first started this conversation. And we put a good amount of, engineering effort and everything into looking at what could possibly fit on there. on top of it and possibly, costing more than, absolutely costing more than doing it at Buck Lake. I just, in addition to that easement, I'm not sure it's, large enough for, the number of vehicles we have. There's outdoor storage in addition to the, interior space. I don't have the, drawing right in front of me. I remember we were kind of limited by, in scope of what we could put there by just the size of that property of, I guess the access isn't too much of an issue if we can, get an easement for that from, that property owner. I overall, still see a lot of upside with, going for the golf maintenance facility. There's long-term that takes care of a meeting space issue. Speculative income sources. I know we've heard from our landscaper that they would definitely be able to make use of that. So and in addition, a big pain point for residents was when we had to close down the storage area for trailers, boats, work trucks, whatever. Being able to reopen an amenity that we've had in the past is beneficial, and I'd say beneficial to the point that that would still be my preference.
Very good. Joe, what do you think?
I'm all in favor of the golf building. And if I understand this right, so if we get a bond, each home would be assessed, or each residence would be assessed, and it would be paid back over a period of time.
It'd be a 30-year it'd be 30-year mortgage.
So it's an additional between $80 and $250 a year. Every year.
It would be done on a flat basis. It would come out to maybe $10 a month per house.
Looks like it's more like 15.
10, $15 a month.
Well, because it solves so many of our other problems, and I would prefer Buck Lake over Five Oaks, just because Five Oaks had such a multitude of problems with the lay of the land and how to get in there and the phone line, etc. But I really think we should pursue the golf building. I really think as time goes on, we'd find, I know we don't want to become a property lender or
Manager.
right, but I still think that in the long run, that's not that huge an expense. I mean, it is, but $10 a month, and especially if we could open up the RV lot again, coming from the backside though, not through the garden, and or right on that property even. And I also like the idea of, if possible, if we could use some of that space inside for some of the community events in the community. Even if we didn't earn money from that, it could be a nice little amenity, so to speak. Like even when you have all the soccer coaches and the soccer league for the little kids, here they can all sit together in that one building and work out all the schedules and everything, and things of that nature. So that's my thought.
I have a question based on the email that we got about how there's going to be, even with whatever revenue that comes in, we still have, in addition to having to pay everyone having to pay the bond, we still have a $30,000 a year negative cash flow on that property. So that's an additional burden on the budget. Do I understand that correctly?
It won't fully pay. Well, yes and no. It depends upon whether or not we want to borrow the full amount.
This is
but think of it this way. You guys did set a budget that did set aside $350,000 this year for a facility you won't build. Sounds like, down payment to me. Suddenly, you're not borrowing to get 2.2 million or whatever price we end up negotiating, by the way. You're putting, what is that? 17.5% down. So, you're not financing as much. I'm saying this is, some of these numbers, this, I wrote this to give everybody an idea of what could happen. Okay. Is this cast in stone? Of course not. Okay. You either have vision or you don't have vision. It's that straightforward. Can we make this work? Yeah, somehow we got to make it work. I don't know how we make it work totally yet, but yeah, we can figure it out. That's sort of the drive I have. So, it sounds like we have 3 members of the board who are in favor of pursuing the idea and seeing if we can make it work. So, how do we drive
We'll
that?
offer them 1.75.
Trust me, we'll get a commercial person on our side. I would like the board's permission to approach and hire a commercial realtor to work on our behalf on this. I presume they would, I'll work out the details. But, so that we get a professional on our side, take a look at that and say, hey, yeah, 2.2. I mean, my comment as a former real estate professional looking at it, the one thing I found that I wasn't crazy about was that the comparable properties that he used to do the valuation were all in far superior locations. And he didn't seem to, he didn't seem to make any adjustment for the fact that these aren't in prime, that this property is sort of in the middle of nowhere. No, it's on the edge of nowhere. Okay. And maybe using those as comps without adjustment. So, I mean, I noted that right away. But, let's get somebody who does this professionally, see what we can get the price down to. Yeah, I think 2.2 is probably too much.
I do have another question. If, let's say somebody else came in and bought that property, is it only zoned for that, or could it be turned into building lots for homes?
Oh, I do not know.
Property type is listed as golf courses. 5.21 acres.
How many acres?
5.21.
They could build a lot of houses on that number of
Yeah,
acres.
a big chunk of it is a retention, is a pond that you can't do anything with.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Right, and I believe in the PD that that's already zoned as
Okay.
golf or commercial or something.
So that makes it less valuable to most people then, because if they can't come in here and build houses, there's no profit to be made for them.
Oh, no, it would be sold as a commercial activity. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what I said. It'd be perfect for an automobile, automobile repair place or automobile shop or motorcycle shop.
Auto repair wouldn't want to be there because they have to keep bringing the tow trucks in and out.
They got a road. There's a road.
I know, but they're just going to get so much. It's just hard for them to navigate all that as opposed to being on the main road.
I appreciate that, but I mean, that's just an example. If somebody else buys it, we got no control over what's going to go in
Oh,
there.
right. But my thing is, I don't think anybody else is going to want it. So as you said, it's kind of out on the edge of nowhere. And
well, we could take him up on his offer of right of first refusal, let him put it on the market, see if he gets an offer.
that's true.
That might not be a bad strategy.
In the meantime, let's get the real estate professional though, or the commercial realtor to look into it or give us some advice too. Because you're right, on the comps, that's not you can't compare it. Yeah.
Maybe a splash pad contractor.
All right, so what is the board's direction?
I have one question. The access to the RV, the previous RV, how do we do that?
Well, we would own the land contiguous to it, and we'd have this paved road and, you know, parking surface nearly to that edge. So, yes, there'd have to be a small amount of engineering work
Yeah.
to ultimately connect that, probably some PD amendments to make sure everything county-wise is
Yep.
happy with our use or restored use of that property back there, but we would no longer have the quarter mile of pipeline easement that we've been
Hey,
fighting against.
I mean, basically,
Yeah, I've got it right here.
oh, he's got it up there for you.
Yeah, but I mean, we have still have a fire truck issue, right? I mean, where the fire truck's not getting through there. I've been back there before. That's.
That's
They
fair.
can get to that building now.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
they're-
that's fairly wide.
I mean, this
The,
building
the big
is
issue is
satisfactory.
the difference in elevation. So you'd have to,
Right, might have
that-
to, you know, wrap around the side there. or
but
something,
the point is, we don't own all the land. So then we could easily, yeah, because you could even just wrap it that way.
right,
And then
it
suddenly you
would-
got access to all this space again.
Right, it wouldn't pop into existence for free. It would be, there would be, and surveying, you know, probably, you know, county regulatory, you know, with the PD, possibly another amendment that would have to be done. But, you know, there'd be work into doing that, but that's, I was speculating at the time we had to close it down that maybe it would have to wait until this neighborhood here, M, I think, came online, and when they build, would they be having a road back to the trail? And maybe that's how we would get access to it, hopefully by the good graces of whoever develops that property. This here, I mean, the CBD trailer used to be on this property way back when. So it's, you know, it's absolutely centrally located, as is the Five Oaks property. But for a community this size, yes, it's more space than we need, absolutely. But there are ways to mitigate that with, you know, sharing that or, you know, subleasing that with landscapers, you know, other potential commercial uses. This here tells us what the loan overall costs.
Right.
And then on top of that, there's the potential for maybe not recouping every single penny of this financing cost, but a decent chunk of it between the storage facility, subleasing the secondary building, things like that. So there's a path at least to recovering a lot of this cost overall to residents, whether that's, you know, we can maybe, you know, lower O&M as a result of the, you know, not trying to make promises or whatever, but I think that I like how this path forward looks. So I don't know if we need to have a motion and what that
So,
motion needs to
I
entail.
think
or-
there's gonna be, well, at least one, if you're going to direct, your chairman to engage with a real estate professional,
Commercial real estate.
commercial real estate professional, and then if you also want to direct this staff to continue down and really tighten up the bond schedule, what that looks like commercially, and let us get with bond counsel and make sure we have all the information, and all of that. So those would be the two directions that I would be looking for.
Can I do all those as one big motion?
Absolutely.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll
So-
second.
Okay. So Dan. Joe, and that's direct, chairman to engage
Commercial
in
real estate.
a real estate, commercial real estate.
Yep.
And then to staff to continue going down, the bond. We also did get some banking stuff in, but banking obviously looks a lot different than this. It's a lot shorter term, which is gonna be higher.
Is that basically the difference between a bond and a loan is the term?
No, there's a lot of different, differences between a loan and a bond. And legal could probably tell you more about that than I can, but there's definitely a lot of differences. It's not just the term. What a bond can be used for versus what a loan can be used for are different as well. So I don't know, Kate, if you wanna let me
Well,
know on that or.
One of the issues is, one of the difficulties of doing a loan is, they can't have a lien on the property.
We can't be late.
We can't be lien. So that's one of the reasons I think that council suggested the bond route to begin with, because you can't put a lien on government property.
So whether you for collateral.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But basically, the collateral is our ability to raise assessments.
Oh, Mike's on the call. Did you have anything to add, Mike?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the collateral is one piece, but what you do when you get a bank loan or a bond is you pledge revenues, and those revenues are your special assessments that you levy each year, and that usually acts as security for a loan or a bond. In this particular case, I think you probably ought to keep both options open, just because of some of the aspects of the business plan that you may be contemplating. But at this point in time, I think the bond is probably the better route, if you can deal with some of those private activity issues that have been discussed.
Okay,
Thank you.
so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it, 4-1. We will do that. I was gonna do this in supervisor requests, but real quickly, I'll be on vacation May 8 to 17. So Dan, you're in charge those 10 days. Because I'm gonna be touring around New England, so I'm not sure I'll be all that contactable.
Try not to break anything.
Anything more, you mean? All right, garden shed proposals.
Yeah, so we've got 3 proposals. One was from sorry, which is now limited. There was also an additional one from Smithfield. And then we also had, what's the last one?
Shed outlet.
I'll share it out later. Yes, so the costs, in my opinion, I felt when the conversations I had with all of these, the cook stuff came up to be a better product, a better product, better warranty. It covered a lot more. The only thing that I didn't see, and I didn't see in the email that he attached, which is also in the agenda, was about the permits. But I'm sure when I spoke to him that the permits were included. Okay. A lot of the other companies will charge you for delivery, they'll charge you for setting it up and anchoring down, whereas Cook Stuff will take care of all of that. You can choose the colors, they have a range of colors, so 5 or 6 colors for the sides, the trim, and then 4 colors, I think, for the roof. So the lead time for all of them was around sort of 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes leading 2 to 4 weeks. However, I just felt that Cook Stuff just offered a better product with a better warranty.
And you agree?
And more support. And so just based on the conversations, like I said, I had, that would be my recommendation to the board, would be to look at Cook Stuff. And I would just confirm with him that the permit was included, which I'm pretty sure it was, but I don't have anything documenting that. So that would be something I would need to confirm with him. But other than that,
Well,
There's only one other thing. So I don't know if they're still offering it, but when I bought my cook shed, they had a more durable floor. And I know they've had to replace the floor in the old shed. So I might look into, they also, Maryland is concerned that 10 by 12 may be a little small. I don't know if they have a 12 by 12.
the one that they talked about for like specifically for the tool shed. which is
Right,
like
was
the
10 by
light gauge,
12. Right, but I don't know if they have like a, well, then it's gonna be more expensive, right? So, we need to consult with Maryland because, it needs to work for the garden, otherwise why buy it, right? But I would suggest you just inquire about the flooring because the flooring that I have is really, I don't know if they still offer sort of I think I got an upgrade in the flooring. And I've had the thing for probably close to 10 years and it's in great shape.
Is this for concrete pad?
No, what I have is just,
This one doesn't need to be.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, they anchor it.
Yeah.
It's included in the price as well. Yeah, so it's essentially it has joists on the bottom and they put blocks under the joists and then they anchor it. So I would ask about the floor and what the.
So we're
the
gonna
cost
table
is.
this yet again.
Is that okay, Marilyn?
This is like
Go
6
ahead with
months.
the 10 by 12, we'll make it work.
Okay.
I was gonna say, we've been
Yeah,
tabling
okay.
this for like 6 or
Yeah.
8 months.
Like forever.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
I haven't been here that long. It seems like we discuss it every meeting.
Yeah, is the board okay with letting Marilyn get with Howard about the color choices?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, because I was gonna
Yeah,
ask about
motion.
why are we getting brown and tan?
I move that we go with a cook shed portable warehouse 10 by 12 with an upgraded floor not to exceed $5,000 or $4,500.
Second that.
$4,500. Huh?
What was the quote? Huh?
4,100.
And also with Howard to work with Marilyn to
And
choose the
yes,
color
and
scheme.
that Howard and Marilyn will work together to choose the color.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Did we have a second?
Aye.
yes. Let's see, now we have a couple of quick things. Our agreement with Harmony West
CDD.
CDD. I met with them. Angel was there by phone. Basically, it was what, $100 a month more? Yeah.
And obviously that's the cost of chemicals.
Yep.
So I'll entertain a motion to.
Move to
this.
approve the Second Amendment to the Environmental Monitoring and Maintenance Services Agreement with Harmony West CDD for biotech consulting.
Second.
All those in favor?
I,
Passes. Resolution 2408. Or 2024-08 for the general election.
This is essentially basically telling you seats 1, 3, and 5 are up. Their terms expire this November, and are scheduled for the general election beginning November of 2024. Qualifying period is, I think it's June.
10th to 14th.
There you go, from noon to noon.
Mhm.
So whoever would like to run for those seats, make sure you qualify, but it is seats 1, 3, and 5. So just need an approval on this.
Move to approve Resolution 2024-08.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Moving right along.
Do we need to ask Lucas if he agrees with the? It was just,
It was already 4-0. Let's see. Carol wanted to discuss the problems with garbage
Yeah.
on the soccer field
Yeah.
and usage.
Thank
And
you, yeah.
I shall.
I just, lots of trash left there all the time. Of course, the basketball court has the same problem, but the thing with the basketball court is even though it's getting used, it's not getting worn out, but the soccer field is getting worn out. It's just used every single day and we're not allowing it any time to recuperate. So I wonder what other CDDs are doing and if there's any action we should be taking to, improve or at least
You
maintain.
guys are allowing like Hot Shot Soccer to come out and hold their practices, right? Is that still happening?
Yeah.
I know it was approved a while ago. I mean, you have to, when you look at things like that, and it's also great to let them do it and be able to have these things out there, but, some districts charge a fee to do that, which would cover the maintenance. Not all the maintenance, but it would help cover maintenance for that type of thing to either have to be resodded, reseeded, aerated, whatever the case may be. So you can look at that option. Other than that, that's really it. I mean, your residents already pay for maintenance for their use, but if you're gonna let outside or clubs come and use it on a regular basis, and I think this one uses it like
3 days a week.
yeah, a lot.
I thought they were paying, no?
No, the board never stated for them to pay. They got approval from you all, but there was no fees associated with that.
There
And Mike,
used
I
to
do
be.
believe, correct, that they can charge a fee to let a club use their facility for their soccer club without us having to do anything, or
Yeah, I mean, the board should have an agreement with the fee if that's the direction you want to go.
yeah. But no, there is currently no fee. And
So-
I remember when they asked, you know, and it was brought up, even the question of, wow, 3 days a week, that's a lot. You know, there's gonna be a lot of wear and tear and a lot of use, but we decided not to charge them a fee. But if you want to, we can call him and enter into an agreement and you all can determine what that fee might be.
Well, even aside from that, it seems like we've got to have a, I don't know, certain period of time on a regular basis, and I don't know what that should be, where nobody can use the soccer field because it needs to rest. So what do other CDDs do about that?
I don't know the time of year. I can get with Benchmark and see what that is, but yes, some districts do shut down their sports fields in general for whether it's, you know, 30 days or something to have it aerated or reseeded or something like that, and I can get a schedule for you. I'm not an expert in that
Did we-
area, but they do it.
Did we continue the process of doing the ryegrass over the winter?
I don't think so.
No,
Not since I've been here, I've never. heard
because
of
that
it.
was something that occurred every year when I was on the board, but
That
that
was a
was a few
Previous
years ago.
landscaper, previous board, previous landscaper.
And we can definitely talk about Benchmark about doing that again. Absolutely. But there's different things you can do. You can charge them, we can shut it down, you can cut it down from, okay, you can't use it 3 days a week, maybe you only use it 1 day.
Well,
When does our agreement, please find out when our agreement with them ends, when they need to renew it,
Who?
the soccer club.
which one? You mean the little ones?
Yeah, I think it's hot
I
shots.
don't think the little ones are causing much damage at
So
all.
I was trying to speak, yeah, so
They're all
every,
about
every
this tall.
Sunday, I play out there with probably,
It's you.
yeah, it's me.
Great.
With about 20 big grown men and yeah, we play soccer for about a couple hours. And this last week we played, it was very dusty. There's obviously no grass left. But we do need some extra seating or, well, turf's very expensive.
Talk to Benchmark and see what our options are. As you stated, maybe it's going back to what you all used
Yeah,
to do.
I mean,
But yeah, we do a lot of probably damage to
I mean,
that.
no one lives closer to the soccer pitch
I don't think
than I
the
do.
little ones are doing anything to it, but we
So-
should charge them, but.
I mean, I appreciate it, it gets usage, but it's not like it's continual. I mean, I've never noticed. And, it's obviously our picture window looks right onto the field.
Every Sunday at 9. when we're out
That's you
there.
guys over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy watching it.
I see a lot of people out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of our most successful, facilities.
Yeah, our
We
previous,
don't have amenities.
well, I don't know, we should ask Michael about that because our previous attorney insisted we didn't have amenities, we only had facilities. Can you opine on that, Michael, please?
Yeah, you have recreation amenities.
Okay, so we're back to
We
amenities.
do have amenities, yay. I mean, I don't know what you can really do other than,
There's what, a 250?
I don't know,
deposit
on
maybe?
Sunday, would you please talk to your friends about cleaning up afterwards?
Yeah, they'll clean their cleats off when we leave.
Oh, we're talking like water bottles and snack wrappers and, packages and just, shoelaces and just general crap that people leave on, especially near the areas where people sit.
I'm sure that Lucas's friends are not the ones doing that.
Definitely not.
You guys are cleaning it up.
Definitely.
And our staff's cleaning it up, but it would be great if people would clean up after themselves. Maybe less your staff has to go out there and pick up that stuff. And,
Yeah.
and we'll,
He's gonna head to the church right after the meeting.
we'll talk to Benchmark about some options,
All right,
what we can do.
very good.
Okay.
Consent agenda. Did anybody have any comment on budgets, financial statements, or check register?
Yes. So, I don't have the page in front of me right now, but, in the budget, there was a negative number for user facility under revenue.
We're talking about budget or financial?
No,
The budget
financials,
shouldn't-
not budget financials. That is what is in this,
Under user facility,
under user facility revenue, yes.
No, that one? That's VC one.
No, oh, sorry. Just bear with me a second while I go back to. the
Well,
right
in
page.
terms of revenues, that's the only negative number.
mhm.
That's VC one.
No, facility revenue is a negative number.
And that was last year. Oh. That facility revenue, actual. Now, how do you have negatives? Six hundred
I don't
forty-two.
know why, when we show year to date, you've gotten 300, so I'm not sure where that year to date actual comes in, but I can check it. User
Right.
facility revenue,
That's right.
got it.
And then the mulch expense. Um. Was it just that, we paid for the whole thing? I mean, why does it,
Because
It's
because it's May and we're not gonna mulch again until next year.
correct, it was the whole mulching.
and then under other landscape, why is there no budget?
I don't know why there's not a budget. I think maybe it was just.
Yeah, I think
because
you
we
need to
do
look
have-
into it. We should,
do have a budget there.
yeah, see, it's
Yeah.
empty.
No, I'm looking at it.
I'm looking, showing Mark.
Oh,
So under R and M, other landscape, there's nothing here. There's nothing under
But it-
budget and there's nothing under, what is this column?
You're
Year to date, but
under-
nothing under adopted annual budget.
But if you
Or
look under
year-to-date budget.
year-to-date Actual, it shows 17,490.
Well, maybe it's the 17,495. It's in the wrong place.
So.
So
but
please
there
check
needs to
into
be a
that.
budget Number in there as well, yes.
And, why is the R and M other landscape? If that is the refurbishment, like how is that different than miscellaneous services?
Because you budget other landscape, and that's what I asked you earlier when we were talking about miscellaneous services of the 50,000. I have them pulling up a report, currently, like you've got 25,000 budgeted against them. And I wanna see what's in there, and it could be some landscaping, if we've gone over other landscape, they may put it there, but I wanna see what's in other miscellaneous services, because that's, to me, stuff like that's like a slush fund, and I don't like those, I like them specific for what they are, but, so I have them running a report, so answer your question, there could be some other landscaping, some enrichments or something, because we've spent $25,002 as of March 31st in there.
Yeah, I'd like to know what that was in.
Okay. Absolutely.
And then under the pond expenses, I believe quite a bit of that was for the pipe cleanouts.
Could have been.
And should that not be taken out of reserves?
That's a board decision.
That's a question for you guys. So, we had those pipes cleaned out, and to me, that should be a reserve item, right? Because that's got to be done. It's something, I don't know. Well, David, what do you think? Is that maintenance or is that a reserve item?
Probably leaning more towards maintenance or lack of maintenance is what you would be on, so.
Okay,
I'll still put the report, see.
I mean, I don't think we budgeted for it, right? So, I mean, I guess it would fall in the reserves under my opinion.
Yeah, we need to add whether we take money from another category, but I think we need to line out one for stormwater. Almost every
Storm
district
drain.
I have has of
Well,
stormwater.
but wouldn't that be ponds?
I mean,
Like, what is ponds if it's not stormwater?
well, it is, but, and you can leave it under that too, but,
Or we could just add a slash stormwater treatment. And then, I had asked this question before, and I don't know if you wrote it down, but about the $500,000 that was missing in terms of assessments. I'd like to know what, if anything, how much has come in since then?
since March 31st.
Yeah. Because it's almost,
Yeah.
well, it's almost a month.
And this is Mike, just to let you know, we're dealing with some significant delays from Orange County and Osceola County tax collectors and then remitting our tax assessments in one county. Somebody paid a substantial amount in January and we're not going to get it till June. So that may be part of the reason.
I'll get clarification, but I know Liz reiterate what Mike said, but I'll ask if we've gotten anything else.
You mean they can get 5% on the money, so they might hold on to it a little longer, huh?
So Mike, yeah, how do you know that that's the case?
Because at the project that I have in Orange County, I know exactly the date that it was paid and the check was cashed, and been talking to the tax collector and they're saying it's just our schedule, so you'll get it in June. But the problem is we have a bond payment due May 1. So that's why I'm intimately aware of what's going on with them.
And the counties are allowed to hold it for that long?
Well, that may be something that we have to test here real soon.
I see.
Mike, do you think there's some underlying other issue besides them just saying that we're gonna pay you in June than what they're portraying? I mean, that sounds kind of a little sketchy to me.
Yeah, I have some concerns that we're running down at this point.
Okay. Back to the consent agenda. Any other, thank you for your comments, Daryl.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Me too. So, motion carries unanimously. Supervisor requests, I've already told you when I'm going on vacation.
I just had one other comment to back up. I don't know if this is the time to do it, but I went onto the website for the Cook sheds and they have a different style of shed that comes in a little larger. I don't know if that was more expensive style, but yeah, it's called the garden shed and that comes in, well, it's pretty big, but they've got in the lofted barn. I don't know, did we look at all of the different varieties?
You're good with.
We put this to bed.
Okay.
Well, I know, but Maryland, I know they wanted a little bit bigger, so. All right.
I
Thank
just
you.
had one thing that I missed on my list here, and that was David had suggested the possibility of bathymetric surveys for the ponds to see how full they are and when they may need attention. And I just thought maybe that was something we could consider. You said it was a couple $1,000s a pond?
Well, the pond, I think you guys were talking about the one on Buck Lake, the really long one, that's gonna be more. But I can at least get a proposal and bring it back to you.
If that's okay with the board.
Yeah.
Before we adjourn, there's a gentleman here from Ecolab, who wanted to talk about chemicals. I wasn't aware that they were coming. So I don't know if the board wants to entertain that or not.
Sure, come on up.
Yeah, I wasn't aware, or I could have let someone know.
Oh, yeah. We didn't mean to have you wait this long.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's right. I live here too. All right.
Can you come and state your name and your?
We got a
business
microphone
name?
here.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. My name is Stan Blakely. I'm with Ecolab. I manage all the pools in Central Florida for Ecolab. So Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, Disney, everything in Central Florida. I'm the manager for the pools. It's our automated controllers and our chemicals that manage the chemistry for all the recreation water in Central Florida. I was brought to my attention about the issue with your splash pad, and being a resident here for 11 years, I'm very aware of the ongoing issue with your pools. I was approached by Jorge to give a quote. We provided the quote to present our program. Our program is the controllers, the automated controllers that manage the pH and the chlorine of the water. Everything is wireless, so, Jorge or myself, anyone else who needs capability of seeing it, it's all live data. It's a flat fee program, so we don't charge by the gallon, we don't charge service charge, trip charges. If we have to come out here one day, every day a week, or once a month, it's all flat fee. So the good thing about that, and it's why most of the commercial business we do prefers that, it allows them to set their budgets. So it's a flat fee. We don't charge you by the gallon. So if you use, 300 gallons this month, 100 gallons next month, it's a flat fee. That covers the chlorine, that covers the acid, that covers the stabilizer, it covers the controller, the dispensers, the pumps, the squeeze tubes, injection fittings, and our service.
Like replacements that includes?
Anything. If lightning struck the controller, it's included in that monthly flat fee.
For $3,000.
Well, whatever it was, 38.66, I think it was.
So if a pump burns up tomorrow. and
One of
you're
our
under-
pumps, not yours.
Right, so then it would cost us even more.
No.
To come put in your pumps?
No,
No?
no.
Okay.
No, these
So-
are just for the control.
Yeah, the chemical feed
pumps.
pumps.
Right.
So
got it.
there's a controller and you're using liquid bleach and liquid acid.
Mhm.
Those are peristaltic chemical feed pumps. If those pumps go out, if the squeeze tube on those pumps need to be changed, if the controller, anything to do with that. So basically, from the injection fitting back is our responsibility. So like right now, if I know who you're currently using, they're gonna charge you, and there's also the delay. As I stated before, I've been here for 11 years. If there was a problem, even on a Saturday, we're here. We cover 7 days a week. A good example of if a Disney pool closes at 4 PM or at 9 PM, we are there. Same thing here. I have a rep that lives down here off Narcousie Road. He would be aligned to this property. So for response times, I geographically align my team to I manage everything from Longwood, Lake Mary to UCF to the airport, Lake Nona, all the way down to Four Corners. All of Central Florida is in my responsibility.
So it's $38.66 a month and it's $250 to set up each controller.
Right, because everything is also wireless.
Right, how
So-
many controllers would they need?
It would be 4 separate controllers. Because even though the kiddie pool and the family pool is in the same proximity, separate controllers. Because if something were to happen, let's say lightning struck one, you don't lose both.
Right.
So is this proposal for 2 pools and a splash pad?
It would be the splash pad, both pools and the kiddie pool. So there's 4 bodies of water.
So
At
this-
first, I thought it was including this one over here, but he explained to me today it doesn't, so.
So this would basically, we wouldn't have to go through Pool Shore anymore.
No.
It would be them. Okay, well, I can tell you we spend more in Pool Shore than this is a month. Just for your own edification.
Can we actually have a written proposal
From who?
Yes, you do.
So
Just,
that-
yeah.
Yeah, it's a presentation proposal.
Yeah, it's a PowerPoint. I can send this
It's
to you all, so you can review it. we can put it on-
Yep, I got it. It's on page 9.
Okay, let me send
Page
it.
9.
He's an email.
Who did?
Jorge
Okay,
just
yeah.
now.
When?
Just 3 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he sent it out. I get it at the same time. So what I would suggest is, because it wasn't on the agenda,
You table
you
it?
all have an opportunity to look at it. I can even run your
I know, it
report.
sounds pretty good. Well,
Yeah,
Well, one other thing as well is the telemetry that we have on our tanks. So I showed Jorge earlier. I have visibility to all the tanks that are in Central Florida. So it's all automated. Again, if a tank level, once it reaches a certain level, it automatically creates a work order and they come out the next day and fill the tank. So there's none of this on a Friday, all of a sudden you're out of bleach and you're waiting for someone to show up. So
I think you've sold us, but we need to put it officially on the
no worries,
agenda.
no worries.
Well, we're still in session. I mean, would we need to open up the public comment if we wanted to entertain?
Anyone have any
Oh, yeah.
questions?
Maryland.
Any questions, Marilyn?
No, I have no question. I don't.
Yeah.
So, but
All
in
in favor?
your opinion, this is a good idea.
Yes, this essentially, if what you're telling me, we wouldn't need to go through Pool Shore anymore to get our chemicals or the feeders that we were talking about earlier that are not functioning properly. This is all automated. We do use this in another district that I have, but whoever the tech is will get an alert, right?
Correct,
That
correct.
says that whatever's low, blah, 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 this
Yeah.
from the
And you,
automated
and you
feeders.
can get our splash pad up and working.
I can maintain the chemistry.
Chemistry.
That's how I brought into it. One of the people that report to me actually came out and did some work for her. Right? He has his own pool and spa business for repairs.
Okay.
We don't do repairs. So, you know, we repair our own. So a good example, I was just sitting there, one of the pools out at Disney, one of the pipes broke. My team's on property 7 days a week. We corrected it right then and there. You know, and if it's something that is, you know, we are able to help, we're able to help. If let's say your pump motor goes down or you need new filtration, that is all stuff that we can provide as well. Because that's what I do all over Central Florida.
Okay.
And I've been with Ecolab for 22 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Oh,
And Mr. Blakely was right around the corner for me.
yeah, you might have seen my daughter all over social media too.
Sorry, what was that, Jorge?
Person that is working with the splash pad.
Right.
Works with me.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, heck, Harold.
Okay, so my understanding, we still, the monitor that we're saying we're waiting for, was that still related to what was previously there and this would be replacing?
Yeah, we will replace for very good.
Right, so if we go with this and they get set up, then my understanding is there's nothing that we're then waiting on for the splash pad being fully.
Unless something else
running.
goes wrong,
Oh, of course,
which is likely
it's,
based
yeah,
on our
right,
experience.
it's aging infrastructure, of course, but in terms of what the reason it's not on right now and kids, you know, we're waiting for a monitor that. Right, a chemical monitor that we have, what we think is a very attractive plan for covering all our pools.
Yeah, I agree, and think the way we've had the issues with the splash pad being something that's very quickly, now if there's an issue going on, we can get it fixed.
Yeah, the alerts are wireless. Again, everything's cellular. We do it that way for security reasons. We don't need anyone being able to connect to it and modify anything. It's the same technology we use in our cooling towers and other things within Ecolab. But it's the alerts would go to, you know, whoever's on property along with the rep. So let's say you get high pH or low chlorine, that alert would be sent out. And it's set up that it's gonna get, you're gonna get the alert before it goes out of parameters. You're gonna get an alert, hey, it's getting near parameters. So that way we manage the water 24/7. I know that you're not, you know, testing your water as frequently, but Universal Studios, Lowe's, Disney, they check 4 or 5 times. SeaWorld checks every 2 hours. So I've gotten calls at 4 a.m. before, so.
Safe shampoo.
Well, yeah.
I think we have
Well,
the
what-
table because I can't even open the proposal.
Yeah.
It's not,
So we can decide it next month?
yeah.
That's fine.
I mean. I'd love to
Meanwhile, if
get-
you need any assistance,
Love to get it,
call me.
I'd love to get it approved tonight just because then we can go right ahead with.
There is no contract, by the way. Whereas,
You would do, a district contract?
Yes, yeah.
Council would draw up a district
yeah, what
contract.
we do is a property level agreement, a PLA. That's what
Okay.
we typically do, like I just did with all the
There you go.
Hiltons.
You're good.
Same thing, it's a local PLA. Each location had their own. But my point is, for whatever reason, 6 months into it, 3 years into it, all we request is a 30-day notice.
38.66 monthly, $250 set up.
However you
controller,
want
so
to
that
say it.
means
You know me, I don't know this stuff.
$1,000 for the controllers and then
Yeah.
38.66.
That was it.
No, there's,
It's our chemistry, by the way, on Harmony West, but not our controllers.
Angel, if you could, I'm not seeing the Pool Shore contract. I don't think we were involved with that. I'd like to make,
There's no
sorry.
Pool Shore contract, Mike. It's
No.
just basically, we get chemicals from them
Oh, I'm all for it.
every month or every
If you
day
guys are
or
all for
every
it, I'm all
week.
for it.
There's no
I'm
actual
I'm
contract.
not an expert on these things.
Okay, I just want to make sure there wasn't a termination provision we needed to deal with. So thank you.
Uh-huh.
Joe,
I want to tell you, just so you all know, and I can tell you really quick right now, how much we spend with Pool Shore a month. Just so you know. Which really doesn't, it's not apples to apples because they offer a different, more service for what you're paying. It's not just chemicals. So it's really not gonna be apples to apples, but just to give you an idea, in a month. So on average, we spend with Cool Store a month, anywhere from $414 to $1,100 a month. That's an average, is what you spend with them.
That's in the swimming pool or?
No, that's just, it doesn't break it out like that. It just tells me all together. So, but again, like 1 month you spent 2,100 because the pools were having a problem. So they had to keep bringing chemicals and all of that stuff. So it just varies, but this overall, you would get, we
Budget
spend
friendly.
less with them than you are with Cool Store overall.
Yeah.
And the added services that they offer.
Yeah. Move to approve. The, I mean, is there anything we need besides moving to approve as proposed, 1,000 for setup and then 38.66 a month for maintenance?
Second.
Joe, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Okay,
And how long would you be, as soon as I can get a contract drawn up from council, obviously, then we would send it over. And then after that is executed, how long before you guys could come in, set up your controllers and get everything going?
Usually 10 days to get the controllers. We don't stock the controllers here. I stock them in Beloit. I can place the order and have the equipment shipped to my house and we can install it right away.
okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oh, now he's glad he waited.
Oh, no, I've been wanting to come to a CDD for years. I've never been to one. So I was curious what goes on, so.
Oh, The chair will,
Glad you didn't come to the budget meeting.
the chair will
Well,
entertain it.
we're still in, and I mentioned my issue with supervisor request earlier. The
Oh.
only thing I would add is there are still, we've had Billy's Trail mentioned by residents before, and yes, that's something that needs to be brought up with that developer. Just so it's in everyone's head, there were still other trails that are on property that's maybe not owned by Harmony West CDD, but within their CDD boundaries. So yes, we had the issue with those trails that were torn down. Let's at least maybe be thinking about if we want, there'd be some hurdles to go through legally with trying to make a formal agreement with Harmony West, but there are some other trails that are still on property within their boundary that right now have not been torn down.
Well, I think they probably will be. It's pretty clear they do not want to be involved in the business.
But it's still owned, it's privately owned by the developer, has not been conveyed to the CDD in the case of the stuff on the eastern side of Buck Lake. So just to have that in.
Maybe, I don't use the trails, but maybe you should think the other way. There's a new community, there's Harmony Central now. There's lots of nice walking space. That's where you used to keep your horses, right?
Well,
that
yeah,
way.
it's the gas pipeline is there.
It's all
Yeah.
flooded. It's all flooded since they redid the pipeline.
Yeah,
I don't know how deep the water is, but you go down, it's all water.
oh, it's a big swamp. Well, I'm trying to be helpful.
Somebody went mudding and they had to pull the car out.
Probably when they graded that community, they pushed all the water to those wetlands.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, just, again, we didn't, when I went to the meeting, they said verbally they might be willing to do that, so I'm obviously not saying we do any, big expenditure right now, but just to have it in the board's head for maybe in the future, if we have the chance to take action to preserve something that has traditionally been another amenity to residents of the community,
No,
even if we don't outright own it.
Recreational amenity.
But I think.
Oh, well,
Jermaine owns
are we all done?
That
Move to
that
approve
might
the
be.
adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Now,
I think Jermaine owns a strip of land, the other side of the golf, the gas lines, that they're going to put a walking bicycle path from Harmony Central to Harmony Main. That was the last I heard, so they will probably have to fill all that in, but Jermaine, or Jermaine.
Alright.
So I'll make all that.
All right, thanks everybody on Zoom.
Thank you.
Thank
This is